Once upon a time in a vast forest, lived an elephant named Elvin. Elvin was the biggest and strongest creature in the forest. His mighty trunk could pick up trees, and his thunderous steps could shake the ground. But despite his size, Elvin had a kind heart. He was gentle and caring, always helping those in need. However, there was one thing Elvin didn't understand: why the tiny creatures of the forest, like the ants, were always so busy. One day, while strolling near the river, Elvin noticed a small ant carrying a large crumb on its back. The ant struggled to carry the heavy load but marched on determinedly. "Hello, little one," Elvin called out, lowering his massive head to get a closer look. The ant paused for a moment, looking up at the giant elephant. "Hello, Elvin," the ant replied, with a polite nod. "I'm just carrying this crumb back to my home." Elvin blinked in surprise. "That crumb looks so small, but it must be very heavy for you to carry. Why don't you ask someone for help?" The ant smiled and shook its tiny head. "I have to carry it myself. It's my responsibility. We ants work together, but each of us does our part. If I don't carry this crumb, someone else will have to do it, and I don't want to burden them." Elvin thought for a moment. "But you're so small. Don't you ever wish you were bigger, like me, so you wouldn't have to work so hard?" The ant paused, looking up at the towering elephant. "I don't need to be big. I have everything I need. My size is perfect for the things I do. I work hard, and it brings me joy." Elvin was silent for a moment, feeling a little puzzled. "But how can such a small creature do so much work? You must be exhausted all the time." The ant shook its head again. "It's not about how big you are. It's about what you do with what you have. I work, not because I have to, but because it's part of who I am. Everyone in the forest has a role to play. You help the others with your strength, and I help with my hard work." Elvin thought about this for a while. He had always used his strength to help, but perhaps there was something more to life than just being big and strong. Maybe it wasn't about how much you could carry, but how much you cared for others. Days passed, and Elvin began to observe the ants more closely. He saw how they worked together, each carrying tiny crumbs, leaves, and twigs back to their home. He noticed the way they supported each other, working with patience and dedication. Elvin realized that the ants, despite their small size, were as important to the forest as he was. One afternoon, Elvin saw the same ant struggling with a particularly large crumb. It had rolled away from the others, and the ant couldn't quite carry it back alone. Without thinking, Elvin used his trunk to gently pick up the crumb and place it on the ant's back. "There you go," Elvin said with a smile. "This crumb is a little too big for one of you." The ant looked up at Elvin with wide eyes, filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Elvin. But remember, we all have our roles to play. You've helped me, just as I helped the others." Elvin nodded thoughtfully. "I understand now. It's not about being the biggest or the strongest, it's about doing your part and helping where you can." From that day on, Elvin and the ant became good friends. Elvin still used his strength to help, but he also learned the value of hard work and dedication, no matter how small you were. And the ant, though small, knew that even the tiniest of creatures could make a big difference in the world. And so, in the heart of the forest, the elephant and the ant worked side by side, each doing their part to make the forest a better place for everyone.